to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember, when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Hello.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 230. I'm your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. Talk to People, joined by Jamil Damji, the wholesaling genie, and the flipping genius, Jerry Norton. Guys, the financial world is going bananas. It's going bananas right now. What's going on out there?
Well, so I did a little bit of research.
Yep.
And I've been kind of following it for a minute here. And so what happened, at least to my understanding, is there was this like secret place to get money.
Yeah.
That investors knew about that wasn't really talked about in mainstream markets. Kind of like how you can buy wholesale real estate. It's not like retail real estate, but it's like the secondary market. Well, these investors were all buying or all borrowing money from Japan. And they were borrowing money out of Japan at like 1% and 2%. And that's a little interesting because we have a world right now where interest rates were way higher than that. So
yeah, sure.
What these investors were doing is they were borrowing really cheap money in the yen.
Yep.
And then they were coming and buying U.S. treasuries with that. Now, what ends up happening is the Bank of Japan is looking at the inflation data in Japan and saying it's gone nuts. We need to start raising rates, right? So they're like, because we started doing that in 2022. So they went to the rate hike party. They came to the rate hike party in 2024. And like basically 2 years later, after we started raising rates in July of 2022, they make the decision to raise rates in July of 2024. And what that did is it wiped out $1.5 trillion out of the markets. And it's bloody. It's bloody. Every stock index is down. It's definitely
Dow's 1,000 points. Yep. S&P worst day since 2022.
Okay. It's pretty wild out there, and that's gonna definitely put pressure on the Fed to lower rates.
Yep.
Okay. So that let's for instance, guys, I have a lot of empathy for people who have money in the stock market. If you have a 401k right now and you've got money, your retirement in the stock market right now, it was a hard day for you. You've probably lost 10% of what you had.
Sure.
Okay. And so, but that's okay. It's only lost if you sell. Now, what does this mean for real estate? I'm not a fortune teller. I'm a genie.
Yep.
Okay. And so I can't tell you like a for sure prediction, but here's what I think is going to happen. I think that the Fed is going to have pressure to lower rates.
It's already done.
And it's already happening.
I think it's dropped like a point in the last 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to happen even faster now.
Another rate cut. Yeah.
Within the next 90 days, we're going to have another rate drop. I think that we're going to have mortgage rates in the high fives, mid fives soon, sooner than we thought was going to happen. And I think that what's going to happen when that happens is we're going to do two things. There's been this pent up demand for real estate purchasing that hasn't been able to happen right now because rates have been so high. So buyers have been on the sidelines waiting for rates to drop. Well, I think
sellers too, because they're like, hey, listen.
Exactly. Well, I think what happens first is buyers rush the market.
Yep.
Okay. I think buyers rush the market first, and that's going to create a run-up, an initial run-up in sales price, and then inventory is going to start to decline. And that's going to lead real estate agents and wholesalers and everybody who's involved to say, hey, now's the time to sell. Get your, guys, get your top dollar, get your top dollar, get your top dollar. And sellers are going to listen. And that means that we're going to have a flood of inventory onto the market as well. So there's going to be balancing. There's going to be a bunch of buyers running to the market. I think that it's going to unlock trapped inventory because that lock-in effect that we were talking about all these years where all these people were sitting on 3, 4, 5% mortgages. Well, now if you got a 5% rate, everybody in a 4, everybody with a 4.5, everybody with a 5, even some guys at the top of the 3s are going to say, you know what? I've been sitting in this house that I don't want to live in for 2 years longer than I've wanted to live in it. Or these people became accidental landlords. We saw how many people kept their home that decided, well, I'm never going to get rid of this low rate mortgage. So they kept their home, and that's going to untrap. It's going to unlock. The lock-in effect is actually, they're going to pop the gate, right? So no more lock-in.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to balance the market out. It's going to be a little bit wobbly woobly for a little while. I think it's going to have a run up in prices in the short term. And I think it's going to have to balance itself out. But we still have some other stressors in the environment. We have an election coming, and this election obviously is nutty. It's a circus right now. And then on top of that, we have wars. I mean, it is an interesting time, to say the least. And
our own inflation. We've got our own inflation.
And we have our own inflation problem. So I think there's a lot of factors, but this is what my thoughts are with respect to where things are going. So what does that mean for real estate? I think an initial run up, but I think a balancing, and I think prices are going to flatten out. But I do believe that volume is going to start to pick up.
Jamil, you're talking about on the supply and demand retail side. What about all these stock market people that are going to pull out and need to park their money? And it seems to be when the stock market has trouble, a bunch of money pours into real estate. Are you also seeing that we're going to see some investment capital come into real estate?
So this depends, right? Because, okay, let's think about 2008, 2009. Okay. The ones who won were the people with dry powder. What's dry powder? Cash. If you had cash in 2008, 2009, that was me, right? I didn't have cash right in 2008. I started buying in 2011, right? I started my sister actually helped us restore our cash reserves. God bless you, Rahima. But she's the one who came and helped our whole family get back after we, tanked in 08. Yeah. And we were able to take that dry powder and start buying houses here in Phoenix that actually changed the trajectory of all of our lives because everything went crazy, right? And so it depends, Jerry. It depends. Will those stock market people say Apple's cheap? I mean, it's already down 7%, 6-7% right now. Will they look at these blue chip stocks, and are they going to want to hold that dry powder cash to get back into the market and buy things at a discount, or are they going to make a full pivot into real estate thinking that there's a deeper problem? That's the part where I don't know.
Yeah, and I think for people that have those 3-4% interest rates, it feels a lot easier to get into a 5.5 than it did a 7. Yep. You know what I mean?
At some point, you hit the point of no return where you're like, we're close enough now. I'll make the move. Right? It's not going to be. I don't think anybody's thinking we'll ever get back into the high 2s, low 3s, but you start getting closer to 4. You're hitting 5s, and people are going to really take a look at that.
It gets attractive. It really is, right? And especially because what we've been looking at for so long hasn't been, right? And I mean, my analogy is going to be really, really, really crude here, but let's just use it, okay? Right? It's like you've been in jail for 2 years, and all you've been looking at is dudes, and then they pop your lock. And you're out in the world, and there's girls there.
What's up?
Right? And so I think there's a chance that everybody's going to look at the world and be like, yeah, this house looking pretty attractive to me right now. Let's see if we take this move here and get out of this house and get into that new one. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, about anything's going to look good, probably for some. Yeah. I think that's a great analogy. I mean, there is for me, I think I want to have some language that's like, I don't know. Hey, if you're pulling your money out, come on over. We'll take you. You know what I mean? Like I got projects. You want to lend some money on something that's got backed by an asset. But I mean, that's us. I've always felt like real estate was such a better investment than the stock market because you can touch it, feel it, see it. We're backed by something, right? So
correct.
I think there's always going to be that type of person that will see that and catch that vision.
Yeah. Yep. Let me also give you guys a bit of insight from the wholesale perspective.
Yep.
One of our last few weeks leading into today, been a little bit slower on the sales side at Keegley.
Mm-hmm.
Not terrible, but slower. Today was insane. The phones were blasting. They were going. People were buying.
Is that also like August though? I feel like in our
a little
market,
bit of seasonal.
July
because
is
people
like,
went back to school. Kids went back to school this week, right? So people were, but it's a perfect storm, right? Kids are back in school. Investors are back out shopping. All of a sudden, they're seeing evidence of a rate drop coming around the corner.
Yep.
People in real estate know a rate drop means that there's going to be an increase in buyer demand. And so it really did create a really good day for us at Keegley today. And I was happy about the sales. I mean, I don't know, I think it was like 8 houses today.
Awesome.
Just in our corporate store in Phoenix.
Yeah.
It was great.
What we've seen a decrease in the size of our assignment fees in the last 60 days or so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what we're finding from talking to our cash buyers that are doing flips, which is where we get a bulk of the inventory that we go after, the uglier the house, the better for us. They're giving concessions every time to the buyers. So buyers are really demanding concessions, which eat into 1 to 3% of the purchase price when they go to flip it. So they're being tighter with their numbers, much tighter with their numbers.
Yep.
So just something to understand there. When the interest rates go up, to offset that, giving concessions to buy down the rate a little bit or pay some of the closing costs really helps to really grease the wheels of those buyers that are going in for those properties that are being flipped. So just something to think about there and be real aggressive with your negotiations.
I would agree.
on the buy side.
Yeah,
for sure.
Be aggressive with your negotiations. Hey, look, use today as ammunition. Okay, because it was a great story in the news cycle for real estate buyers today. Okay, it was a great, and I'm not talking on the wholesale side, the flip side. I'm talking about when we're working with real estate agents or we're working direct to seller, whatever that lead generation prospect strategy that you're using right now. Ask people. Been watching the news?
Yeah.
I mean, buying a house could be really risky for me right now.
You know what it reminds me of, Jamil, is I don't know if you guys remember this, but like I'll never forget like the day COVID hit or whatever.
Yeah.
There was that one day where like all I did was watch the news all day and did nothing, right? And it was sort of like, what in the world's happening? Second day, I was like, okay, I better get to work. And what I did second day is I called all my lenders and I reassured them that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not bailing. I'm not walking. Whatever happens, I'm going to see my deals through. So that was like day 2. And then day 3 was like, I'm doubling down. Like I'm not sitting the sidelines. I'm doubling down. Whatever it looks like, I don't quite know at that point in time. I didn't quite know. But that was the smartest move that I could have done because I went right back into the trenches and got amazing deals, and come to find out the market blew up, which at the time, I mean, I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought the whole world was going to crash everything. Like all this was just going to be negative on real estate.
There was so many Zooms of doom and gloom, and you better
crazy.
have a year worth of expenses put aside, and everybody was going that route.
I mean, I was in my living room staring at a mountain of toilet paper wondering what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Remember that? That was wild.
I bought like 6 bidets that you just attached to your toilet because I was like, we're going to have water, but I don't know if we'll have toilet paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got a garden hose for the kids. I mean, it was crazy.
So good. What do you guys think about getting closer to the election, though? Jason asked an interesting question. By the way, guys, today's show is all about question and answers. There's a lot of turbulence out there. There's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of things that are going to prevent us from going and actually providing value to the marketplace. So let's get rid of that on a Monday so that Tuesday through Sunday, we're out finding amazing deals. So bring your questions to us, and we're going to go through as many as possible. But this is a question that comes up a lot. You know?
Yeah. So Jason Baca asked, do you think wholesale/real estate will slow down as we get closer to the election? Well, I've been in a few election cycles, and traditionally, yes, it does slow down a little bit. People get a little bit, they right when you get closer to November, right? Closer to November, mid-October, early November, right? Especially when there's like, is it going to be a close race? Is it going to be like, we don't know what's going to happen here now? If the conservatives feel that they have it in the bag, then there may be not so much of a slowdown in buying activity, right? But if we see some traction gained on the side of the Democrats, and it starts to feel like this might be a toss-up, then what ends up happening is you get people taking a step back and saying, I need to wait. And it's typically they'll wait for election day, and then they'll wait a week to 10 days after the election day to see how things have shaken up. If we end up having a Trump presidency, I think within a few days you're going to see buying activity go skyrocket. And I think that if it's not that result, it may be a little longer before buying activity kind of resumes.
But Jamil, does it even matter in a wholesale real estate business? Does any of it even matter?
Well, the question I have for both of you guys is, do you think that the cash buyers that you work with lean more Republican or Democrat?
100% Republican.
Jerry?
Same. Business owners. Yeah.
So do you think if it gets real tight in the race, they're going to be more conservative?
Absolutely. And I think that's what's going to create the jitters. I think mid-October, right? It's good. That's when, if it starts getting close in the race, mid-October, and I've seen it last time, right? I saw it last time when the election was happening, people were like, we're going to wait. And then when Biden won, it really slowed down for a couple of weeks. And then people were like, what am I doing? The president's never saved me.
No.
Nobody's ever come to my house and given me any help. And then they shake out of it. They snap out of the fear. They snap out of and they become self-determinant again. And they're like, I have to make my world. I have to make my reality. I have to make my future. No party is going to save me. And they get back to work.
Yeah. Here's how I look at it though. Like in a wholesale business, when I first started for years in the beginning, I did Michigan was my backyard market. I still do a lot of deals there, but that was like my only market. And it's a very seasonal market. Like you have pretty brutal winters in Michigan. And I never timed my business based on season. Right. And my mindset around it was, yeah, it's true that there's less buyers in the dead of winter. Who wants to go look at a house in sub-zero weather? Like people aren't buying then. That's true. But there's also a whole lot less inventory for people that are doing that. So the existing buyers that are in the marketplace are high demand buyers. So I just did my thing. I didn't really pay any attention to what time of the year it was. I got deals. I sold those deals in the dead of winter when it was freezing cold out. I rehabbed houses right through the winter. I did it all. I never actually paid any attention to that. Whereas a lot of people I think they put way too much into that. If you're wholesaling, then, I mean, what's your biggest fear? You're going to get stuck in a deal? Well, you're not really in the deal. What's going to happen? Cash buyers are going to go away? Well, maybe, but so are a lot of wholesalers that are also sitting in the sidelines. So then you just leveled it back out again. Like my point, I think, is stay in the game, adjust, pivot, be aware of it, pay attention. Like Jamil's sharing with us these great ideas about what's going on. Pay attention to that, but don't sit the sidelines. Like, just don't sit the sidelines. Figure out what you got to do, but don't sit the sidelines. That's the worst thing you can do.
Jerry, 1,000%. So take what Jerry said right now as your foundation, okay? What no one is saying right now is stop, wait, hold. No. Yeah. What Jerry's saying is you have to take the information that's out there right now, take the sentiment that's out there, gauge the temperature of where people are, and adjust your negotiations accordingly. When we start to see that cash buyers are tightening up, it's time for you to go to work on your negotiations, because understand that they're feeling the same pressure in the retail market. And you can have these conversations with real estate agents, and you can have these conversations with sellers, and you can say, guys, it is not what it was. And so based off of where we are right now and the craziness that's going on in the world, my offer is $50,000 less than it would have been when I called you the first time. You should have sold it to me back in March, but you didn't. So what are we doing? Are you going to wait for the market to drop even more, or are we getting under contract today so that you lock me in? Because I'm making a risk here, and I don't know how long I can do that. So you got to use this temperature as an opportunity and a negotiation strategy for you. But that's the beauty of wholesaling. Wholesaling, you make money on the up. Wholesaling, you make money on the flat, and you make money on the low. Always. Yep. Always. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Good market, bad market, flat market. We still have to talk to property owners. We have to solve the problems that people have with their properties. And what I find is when the buyers get tighter, the sellers loosen up.
Big
the
time.
Sellers are the ones that are feeling the sellers.
And vice versa.
We're hearing it all the time, Jerry. We're hearing it all before this election thing goes crazy, before the wars go crazy. I'm selling these properties, right? I'm getting rid of these properties. I'm getting rid of these properties. So there is a balancing act. What I will say is when it gets closer to the election, make sure that you're not lazy on your dispo. Don't be lazy selling your deals. You might actually have to call up your cash buyers and ask them if they saw the deal that you just put out.
Yeah,
you might have to do that.
I think to add to that too, I mean, honestly, guys, in a wholesale business, none of this matters what you and I think. It matters what our buyers think. So if you stay close to your buyers, wholesaling is whatever the buyers will pay less my fee. That's wholesaling. Whatever the buyers will pay less my fee. Are the buyers paying more right now, less right now? What are the buyers doing? And so if you don't have close connections with buyers in your market, if you don't have relationships with buyers, they don't have to be the buyer that buys every one of your deals, but you can call up buyers and be like, hey, what are you doing right now? Where are you at? Are you sitting the sidelines? Are you buying? Are you aggressive? Are you buying deeper? Like, where are you at? That's how you get a pulse on your market at a macro level and a micro level, is stay close to your buyers, and whatever they do is what we do. We just mimic what they're doing. If they're going to pay more, great, we can pay a little more. If they're going to pay less, we got to buy a little less, right? That's it. That's our business model. Whatever buyers are doing, less our fee.
That's it. I mean, that's why, guys, at the end of the day, you know, you're going to see a lot of portfolio holders, people who've been holding on to a lot of rentals right now. There may be some anxiety there, right? Because again, we don't know. We don't know where things are going to be. If you're holding a bunch of flips right now, there's a likely anxiety there, right? But I can tell you what wholesalers don't have right now: anxiety, because we watch, we observe, and we make moves based on what's happening. It's the most present form of real estate investing that exists, because we get to live in the now. We don't have to live in the future. We don't have to live in the past. We live in the now. That's why wholesaling rocks, because you can be present.
And because of fee income.
Correct.
Fee income in markets where there is uncertainty is how you stay in the game. Being an entrepreneur, for the most part, is just making sure that you don't get knocked out of the game.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you keep growing and you keep building. But one of my mentors, Derek Jarr, he's seen all the different cycles, and he's got big portfolios, and he's done development. And he's saying in markets like this, fee income is where you need to focus. It's not on capital gain income from flips, which I thought was really interesting, especially for our business. I mean, because we look at this and we're like, oh, should I take this one down and flip it? Should I just wholesale this one? Should I put this in my portfolio? Timing matters. Timing matters in one of those three exit strategies there. And the more that you can go and find unbelievable discounted properties and sell it to other people that have different strategies or in different positions than you, that's how we win during these times. That's how we do it.
Yep.
That's why wholesaling is incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yep.
Here's a question for you, Jerry.
Can I still flip even though I'm based in Mexico right now? I mean, yeah, you can virtual. I have a lot of students that are virtual overseas. And I mean, you got to figure out how you're going to bring that money into your country. If that's your home base, right? If that's your residency is in Mexico. I don't know that. You'll need to talk to how that's handled, but you can live anywhere in the world and find and wholesale deals in the US. You just have to figure out how you're getting compensated for that when it's time to send, where are they sending the money, right? So that's the only thing you got to figure out.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you flip houses in the United States from Puerto Rico. Or you're doing all kinds. I mean, but you are a flipping genius, but still you manage to do that. And you're not doing small little deals. You do big deals, right? So you can absolutely manage these types of things. You just got to be organized and you got to be efficient, and you have to have people on your team that you trust.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. And if you've got those things, then you should be absolutely fine.
If you have this thing and know how to use it, you'll be fine. That's it, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. How to incentivize? Ed asked the question, how to incentivize a real estate agent of an expired listing to help you reach the seller to pitch sub-2?
Why would you go to the real estate agent to do that?
It's expired.
On an expired listing. Go right to the seller. Don't go to the agent. The agent got fired. I mean, for real. The agent's been fired on that deal. It's an expired listing, which is you're fired listing.
In fact,
that means.
The way that sounds is, as soon as they answer that phone, you immediately say, I'm not a real estate agent, because guess who loves to call it expired listings? Agents, so they can get a new listing. So what I found is you have to very quickly out of the gate make sure that seller knows and understands that you're not trying to pick up a listing. But if it's a subject to, then you're saying, hey, how would you like to sell the property for that price that you couldn't sell it for? I might be able to do that, right? Like because what you're doing is you want to take over that loan and you want to bring them an offer that's probably around where they couldn't sell it on the open market because they were asking too much.
And
right?
I love one of Pace is great with this because he always scorches the agent, right? So he'll call them and he'll ask the seller whether he pitched creative to the agent or not. Did your real estate agent talk to you about creative finance offers that were coming in? Because you probably got a lot of offers that you may not have heard about because your agent didn't understand them. Did you hear about those offers? And right away, you're going to have a seller say, excuse me?
Yeah.
There were offers?
Yep.
Here we go. Next question, guys. Keep loading us up with questions. I love these. I love these shows where we could just all the questions and answers. Shoni, hey, I have an agent in St. Louis, Missouri, saying there's an investor restriction stating I have to physically walk the property before making a verbal offer. Wow. What's the workaround?
Wow. Jamil, imagine if they saw our masterclass we're doing.
My goodness.
We covered this.
We did cover this. Yeah.
Yeah. This is what Jamil calls a trap, right?
An agent trap. Yeah. It's when the agent requires you to walk a property before you make an offer. The reality is that's just a load of BS.
No sight unseen offers. That's what they say.
Okay,
right?
No sight unseen offers. Hey, listen, I respect that you won't take my sight unseen offer, but here's the reality of it. Right? I have a big team. I got a lot of things going on, and it makes no sense for me to take everybody that I have working on job sites right now off of their current work to move them to come look at a property on a hope certificate that we're going to do a deal. That's not how it works. Either we have an agreement and an understanding of where we're going to be financially on this and that the numbers are going to make sense. And if we have a ratified contract, then rest assured, I'll bring my entire crew out there to take a look at what we need to do. But I just can't justify moving tens of thousands of dollars of labor off of their current work on a whim. This is a whim.
Yeah. Another way I'll say that, Jamil, I love that. Another way I'll say that is I'll say, of course we're going to do an inspection and walk the property. Who would buy a property sight unseen? No one would do that. We'll do that for sure as well. Tell me, agent, is there something that is going on here that I don't know about? Because I'm looking at all the pictures. I do this for a living. I know what this stuff costs. I know what my number is. Is there something else going on that you want to tell me about that I would need to go see other than what I'm looking at right now? No. It's just a cosmetic flip, or, oh yeah, it's just right there. Then, so you're trying to diffuse that. At the end of the day, though, you're going to have a seller that will just not do it. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do, right? Because you could say anything. You could say what Jamil just said. You can say what I just said. And the agent could say, yeah, well, that sounds great and everything. But the seller said no offers unless you've walked the property first. And they probably had somebody back out that didn't go look at it. And that's why they're doing that, right?
Yep. And then in that case, I've had people in my company go out and just quickly walk it. Yep. I'll go to TaskRabbit and say, hey, you want $50? Go walk this property, take some photos for me. Whatever it is, you don't have to go yourself.
Yeah.
If your time is precious or you're virtual and you can't go, this is the reason why being in TTP, in Jerry's community, in Pace's community, in Jamil's community, why it's important to have community members surrounding you that are national is because you can reach out into those communities and say, hey, who wants to help me out here today? I got a walkthrough that needs to happen in Tampa, Florida, and I got $50 in lunch for whoever can go take some photos for me. And people will do it, right? If they got some time on their hands and they're thinking, yeah, I mean, why not? And even then, they'll just take the drive, listen to Wholesale Hotline, and learn while they're driving. I mean, that's what happens, right? So just solve the problem when the problem arises. And if you have these sight unseen agents that are saying no, use the terms that we gave you here as a retort. And if that still doesn't solve the problem, task rabbit it.
Can I explain? So I used to, as an agent, I would say this to investor buyers or any buyers, that they had to walk the property before they could submit an offer. And I was going to check the lockbox data to make sure that they went in there and they actually saw the property. And the reason I did that is because I was listing a lot of REO properties, and that's when they foreclosed and the bank owned them. And people would just send automatic emails, automatic offers without any knowledge, without anything. And
that's why, like, sending out mass offers, blank, like, that's the worst strategy, in my opinion, that exists.
Let me explain. So I was able to stand, pretty strong for the first week. But if there's no offers coming in, you start loosening your, you're trying to get any kind of buyer at some point, right? Sure. So if it's a new listing and they're saying no sight unseen, they're probably expecting a tremendous amount of offers. If they get disappointed and their expectations are not met, I wouldn't be surprised if they allow you to just submit your offer sight unseen. If you have a good conversation like Jamil and Jerry are talking about here, explaining that you understand what's going on, you're a real buyer. A lot of the times when we're working with real estate agents, you have to make them feel comfortable that you know what you're doing, because you really talk to, as a real estate agent, you really talk to a lot of people that are just throwing stuff out there because they watched a video or whatever else. They saw somebody on Instagram do it, and it's just shenanigans.
Right.
And it clogs up your day, and then you're running around, and you don't want your sellers feeling too confident if there's no real offers coming in, but there's a bunch of fake ones. And so it's a balancing game. It really is.
Big time.
Yeah.
Actually, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, one cool hack strategy that I'll do with this is, oftentimes if you'll waive your inspection, then it doesn't matter anymore, because if you're putting down a significant earnest money, then they're like, okay, well, if you're gonna give me non-refundable earnest money and you're not gonna go look at it, okay, we'll sign. But I won't actually do that in the way that it sounds, because when I say that, from the moment I say that until the moment that agent writes and emails me that offer to DocuSign, I know that's going to be a couple hour window for that to happen. And the minute I agree to that, I've got on speed dial 3 guys in that market that can be there in 10 minutes because I got good boots on the ground.
Right.
Now, this only works if you can get someone there right away. So then I get someone there, they walk the property, and I got my head around the deal. I've actually seen it now, right, through my boots on the ground. And if for some reason I'm off, then when that offer comes in, I'm going to call that agent back up and say, hey, I got your offer in my inbox. I know I said I was going to waive inspection, but between our conversation 2 hours ago and now, I sent my guy out there, and there's this, and this problem that you didn't tell me about, that I didn't see in the pictures or whatever. And we need to talk this out again before I sign. So, but what did it do? It allowed me to still get the deal in this tiny window of time to still get eyes on the property. Does that make sense?
And you were able to get it at a price of a no inspect. Like, that's what Jerry's saying right now is very true, because just this weekend I had the same situation. So talk to an agent, and guys, I wish I had a camera on me all weekend, because the way that this went down was incredible. Properties listed on the MLS, fresh listing on the MLS. I call the agent and I'm like, hey, I like this one. You're a little, it was priced well. Yeah. Right. Although I don't call on fresh listings unless they're priced well.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're priced okay. It's a little higher than where I want it to be. But I like it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in this price and 10-day inspection. Let me know what your seller thinks. And she's like, I'll be honest with you. We were off market prior, and wholesalers were calling, and they went under contract and they canceled. And so what these sellers really want is a no inspection offer. And I said, okay, well, let me do some math. So I start thinking about where would I need to be to
on the phone.
No.
Okay.
I get off the phone, give about 20 minutes, and I start thinking about my numbers, and I come up with a price on what I would buy this for sight unseen. So call her back, and I said, look, it's got to be $239, and I'll take it sight unseen. I'll drop off EMD and close in a week. And she said, let me talk to the sellers. She comes back. She's like, no, the sellers would need you to be at this price in order for you to have you'd need to be a little bit higher to make this work. So what did I do? I said, okay, well, I can't do that with no inspection, but I can do that with a 7-day.
Yeah.
So we had started at list price, and that's where I was actually going to have to come in at. But because I anchored down with my no inspection price, that was so low that they really couldn't do it. And then she came up a little bit higher, thinking that I would take that with an inspection or without inspection. But I said, no, it has to be at least 7-day. And I locked it up. Yeah. But then guess what else I asked her to do? I said, look, I'm flipping properties right now, and these appraisers are giving us grief. So when these houses are sitting on the MLS and I create a price stamp on these things, when I go to retail, sell this thing, I'm getting murdered. Can you take this off the MLS? And she did. Yeah. So now I got an off-market property at a great price.
Yeah.
And I have a 7-day inspection on it.
Here? Yeah. Jamil, you know what I love about that, Jamil, is most people think that their only negotiating tool is price. But if you think about it, you've got, with on-market especially, you've got inspection, earnest money, and closing date. So what I'll do often is I'll anchor low. They'll say, that doesn't quite work, but if you could come up to here, then that would, we could get the deal done. And I say, I'll tell you what, I'll waive my inspection, I'll increase my earnest money, and I'll close earlier if you want me to. But I got to stay at that number. And they're like, let me go back to the seller. And for sometimes sellers, like we know with off market, certainty is more important than price. So that certainty is shown with higher earnest money, no inspection or no contingencies, and a faster close. So that's very powerful negotiating tools you have at your disposal without having to compromise on price. And that's exactly what you did, Jamil. You started playing with the terms of your offer, not creative finance terms, but terms of your contract to get a better deal or get the deal you wanted.
Right. With an inspection. Now, here's what's great. Jerry and I in Kalispell, we sat down and we made hours of content about this, these strategies that him and I have both been doing. Because some of you right now are listening to this saying, oh, this sounds amazing, but I'm not going to remember. Yeah. And this is a lot. Like how do I put this into practice? Jerry, when's that first episode dropping?
We're shooting for, we're in production on editing. I think we're shooting for end of the week or early next week to start rolling those out. Yeah. It's a whole masterclass. It's dope.
It's something else.
Awesome.
So anyways, I just wanted to wet the whistle here for you guys and give you a sneak peek.
One that
Jamil, I got to tell you, I had a little bit of a selfish. I learned so much doing that with you.
Likewise.
I learned so much from you. So it was awesome. I loved it.
So good.
Here's when we got a real smoking hot deal and we're competing with somebody else, the other guys that run TV ads and to push them over the edge. What we love doing is, hey, listen, are they giving you earnest money? Yeah. How much? 1,000. Okay. What if we gave you 10,000? Yeah, that's pretty good. What if we gave you 10,000 and we released it right now?
Yeah.
Pushes them over the edge every time.
Wow.
Every time.
Because it's like, man,
every time
I get 10 grand of that money right now.
Right now. Right.
And think of all the problems I could solve right now.
Right now.
I could get into my next house. Listen,
this isn't going to be held by the title company. This is going to be released to you.
Let's talk about securing that, Brent. Yeah. So what do you do to secure the 10 grand against, a seller doesn't come to the closing table to sell? What are you doing? Are you recording anything on there? We
haven't had to. I mean, I guess if we had to, we would put a memorandum of the purchase agreement on it, but never had to.
And are you putting that 10K through title and then having the title company release it? So it's being credited towards price.
100%.
So you're documenting this through title. Title is now, they were in receipt. Now they know. And then are you having them sign the deed right then? Like
No.
You could.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I have it go through. I mean, title's going to handle everything, right? So, and usually these are going to be 10 to 14 day closes. These are
so
going to
they're
be things
quick
that
anyways.
we're going to close on and hold on to them and do a post possession typically of 2 weeks or 30 days. And then once it's vacant, then we'll put it out to our cash buyer database. But just that extra little part, right? That, hey, listen, we actually have 10,000 to give you right now. It'll be released to you as soon as we get this opened up escrow.
How many houses are you buying like that? You're just coming in.
It doesn't have to
with a kneecap the kneecap offer.
That's only if I have to.
Okay.
That's only if there's other offers, or if the seller needs the money like right now for stuff, right? And they're really bad at making decisions, or they kind of they're like, oh, I'll solve this problem at some point. You know what I mean? So we kind of
we just had that. We just had that happen. I released a video breaking down this deal this past Friday, just a few days ago. And what happened was it was PPC Lead, came in at 50,000, smoking deal. We're at the kitchen table on appointment, literally in 20 minutes from when the lead came in, right? And we're like, let's sign at 50. This is a great deal. Seller says, I got to be in California tomorrow for a cancer treatment.
Damn.
And I need money like right now. I need money right now. So we ended up giving him 10,000 in cash. My acquisitions guy did this. He didn't even ask. He went and got 10,000 cash. I don't know where he got the cash from, because this is like a Friday right before Memorial Day weekend. He robbed 7-Eleven or whatever he did. He comes back with 10,000 in cash. He gives it to the seller for a $20,000 price reduction. So 30,000 price, 10 cash now, and a promissory note for the other 20, and had him sign a quitclaim deed. Yeah. So when I found out about this, like I found out about this later, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We don't know if there's clean title. We don't know what's going on with this. Why in the world did we do this? But, and it all worked out. I mean, there were some issues on title, but there were some code violations and stuff, but ended up being like a $62,000 deal, wholesale deal. But like that urgency is what Brent's talking about. When someone's got this massive urgency, then releasing some cash right now today can get you a really good deal.
Yeah, obviously make sure that the seller actually owns it, right?
I wouldn't do it the way we did it. Don't do it that way. Do title.
You know what I mean? So it's
the real estate fraud has gone a little bit nutty. Dude, it's a woman showed up at my house on Friday with a suitcase.
What?
I'm not kidding you. A woman showed up to my house on Friday with a suitcase, and she started pressing the buttons on the keypad. And my daughter went, because she was out in the living room, and she opened the door. She said, "Can I help you? I rented this house on Airbnb."
No.
It's like, I lived here. You haven't rented this house. This
happened to you?
This happened on Friday.
What?
On Friday. And
they're
she's
listing
like,
your house?
So, yeah, there was. And so I don't know how it went. We checked Airbnb. My house is not there. But what I think happened is they have like a dummy listing on Airbnb. They start communicating with the potential renter. And then they say, hey, let's get off of Airbnb. We have an even better house for you. We can't do it on the app, but we'll do it off app. You'll get a really good deal. It's going to be 2-3 times the house. And so they're literally pulling people off the app, using some kind of a dummy ad, pulling them off the app, giving them a deal too good to be true. And so, yeah, this lady, bro, I wasn't home.
People have been doing this for a while.
I wasn't home. When my daughter said this to me, I was like, no way. So then I checked the Vivint security cameras, and lo and behold, there it is.
With her suitcase.
Oh,
my gosh. It's wild. Yeah. Here's a great question from Don Fowler. My man. Don's the man. With auto repos and credit card debt being at all-time highs, when do you think the floodgates will open on distressed real estate? Do you think we'll ever be at 2018 levels with this debt mounting?
Who wants to start?
Go ahead.
I mean, there is a massive debt problem.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Every day costs $200. Mm-hmm. Right? It does. Like, you think about your house payment, you think about your car, think about gas, you think about food. like 250 bucks. And that's if you're living on the low, right?
I think a lot of people are pulling out equity from their houses.
They're pulling out equity from their houses. They're living on credit,
right?
It's getting a little bit juicy out there with respect to debt. And, Don, that's a really good question. Will the floodgates open on distressed real estate? I think the saving grace here, Don, is how much equity is in the market post-COVID. There's a ton of equity in the market right now, and people if they haven't, and that's the other piece, maybe they haven't been refining right now yet because rates have been so high, but they're tight on their credit cards, and they're getting another credit card, then they go get another credit card, then they go get another credit card. Now they're juggling 3 credit cards at 26, 27%. And then all of a sudden rates drop, and now they've got all this trapped equity in their home, and they think, that's my ticket out of this mess. I'm going to refi the house. I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to pay off all this credit card debt. But then what ends up happening, bad decisions. And that's when floodgates on distressed real estate really start to open up. So Don, I don't think the dominoes are quite there yet because of how much equity is in the housing market right now. I think that people are going to have to go through a little bit of that first, and then there'll be a tipping point. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about distressed real estate, when I hear Don saying that, I'm thinking pre-foreclosure, right? Pre-foreclosure and foreclosure. Well, 90% of anybody that misses payments are going to be in some sort of
you were speaking about that earlier today about how it's really hard to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, since 2014, they've really put it in place to help people stay in their properties and not go through the foreclosure process. So the banks legally have to reach out in that first 120 days before they can file a notice of default and start the foreclosure process. 120 days, so 4 missed payments where they go in and they're reaching out all the time to do a loan modification, and really that's just the homeowner filling out the paperwork, telling them the situation, showing them what's going on with their finances, and working something out with the bank. And 90% of the time they do. But of those 90%, Jerry, how many do you think, what's the percentage of people that go back into default after the first time they do a loan mod? What do you think it is?
I would guess the majority of them.
30 to 50%.
Wow.
Okay.
30 to 50%, depending on the area. You know what the nuance is there, Jerry?
What?
Equity in the house.
That's it. I mean, we're in this crazy positioning right now because there's so much equity in homes.
Will you explain what equity is?
For anybody wondering what I'm talking about here, is that if you bought a home, like the 70% of U.S. homeowners right now are sitting on a mortgage rate somewhere between 2.5% to 4%, which means they bought when? They bought pre-COVID or during COVID, when there was after which we had a massive uptick in real estate values. So they're all sitting on what? Equity, meaning that what they owe on their home is a lot less than what the home is worth, right? So they've got trapped cash in the house. That's what equity is. And almost 70% of U.S. residents right now, U.S. homeowners, have equity trapped in their homes. And many of them have been holding off going and getting that refinanced and pulling that equity out because of where rates are. But we just saw what happened in the money markets today. What does that mean? Rates are going to drop. These home equity lines of credits are going to start getting, these refis and these HELOCs are going to start going bananas.
33 trillion it says homes are the nation's piggy bank, and they are worth a collective 33 trillion as of 2024. That's up from 15.6 trillion in the first quarter of 2017.
Dude, that's saying it right there.
Just double.
I think too, there's while we're on equity, I think there's a difference.
Trillion.
That's so much.
Trillion. Yeah.
So we've put $16 trillion on the balance sheet from 2017 to 2024 living in our homes.
Yeah.
Wow. I think there's a big difference too between
don't invest in real estate, though. Go buy crypto.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I'm telling you, I mean, there's when people talk about recession or they talk about the market cooling, it's opportunity.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity. It's a buying opportunity. Anyway, go ahead, Jerry.
I was just going to say there's a big difference also between like phantom equity and actual equity. So phantom equity is, my house is worth 250. I owe 200. Therefore I have 50,000 in equity. Well, not really, because by the time you liquidate the asset and get the cash in your hands, it's usually much less because it costs about 10% to sell a house between commissions, closing fees, and so on, 8 to 10%. Maybe you got some repairs to do or whatever. So there's a big difference there that a lot of people don't quite understand the difference there. And honestly, equity means nothing until you liquidate it and get it, right? Like if it's sitting in the property and it's not doing anything, it means nothing at that point.
Yeah. Is there double fees when assigning a contract, Jamil?
No, sir.
Why not?
In fact, you're not a party to those fees. You become a line item on a settlement statement. Your assignment fee becomes a line item on a settlement statement. So you're not party to those closing costs.
So you're not the buyer anymore?
You're not the buyer anymore.
Are you the agent?
You're nothing.
Are you representing either of them?
A line item. You are literally a line item on a settlement statement. That's all. That's it. You're a debit. You're a debit. So you're not party to any of those closing costs. Nothing. That's why assigning is the gold standard. It's the holy grail of wholesale fees. When we get into the costly things like double closing, you're going to start having to incur closing costs. You're going to have to start incurring fees, but not on an assignment. An assignment, that's the money right there. But then everybody gets to see what you make. Mm-hmm. And for all of you who feel shame for making money, that's hard to swallow.
That's a financial thermostat thing. Jerry, what do you think of this? Novation is going to be the next thing in real estate. I feel like it's been the last, couple years. Are you doing more of these? We do
them. Yeah. But I don't think that's the next thing in real estate. I mean, it might be a shiny object right now or for a little while, right? It's another tool in the tool belt.
Explain Novation, Jerry, for the people who are unfamiliar with Novation.
So a Novation is the simplest way to think about a Novation is a workaround to wholesaling to a retail buyer. Everything else we do with traditional wholesaling is we're assigning or we're selling a contract to another investor, and we're doing that at a steep enough discount to where that investor has room to then buy that property from us, pay us a fee, and then go on and do their thing, rent it or flip it, right? A Novation, the idea there is you're going to take a somewhat clean property, maybe it's dated, maybe it's livable, but it's not ARV, right? It's not renovated. And you're going to contract with that seller, and then you're going to turn around and you're going to have a marketing clause that allows you to market it to the public on the MLS typically. And then when you attract a retail buyer, you can't assign a contract to a retail buyer, especially if they're getting financing. So then what we do is we switch them. We do a switcheroo. We say, okay, retail buyer, I'm going to put you in contract directly with the seller. And we created a spread here from what we agreed upon to what I went and found. And I get to make the difference at closing on the net there. That's your elevator pitch of what a Novation is.
And in some markets, they call that a net listing.
Net listings, which are allowed to do and not in some places and not allowed to do in other places. The reason why I don't think that's the future of real estate is because Novation is getting lumped in with traditional wholesaling, and that's falling into regulation. So in time, Novations will get regulated out of.
Well, and these, an assignment is cash. Yeah, it's a cash purchase by the buyer. Novation is typically with a conventional loan, which is awesome, but we go after ugly houses. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Get financed.
You can't get financed with those either way. So there's always going to be cash buyers in the marketplace that are looking to find the best deals. The best deals are going to come from cash purchases. It is. That's just what's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, that's what does happen. So it's just really important to understand that if it's a dated house or it's livable, you want to do a Novation, live your life, do your thing. You know what I mean? But I agree with Jerry. I think that there's going to be more and more. I think the real estate agents are going to even feel that those are more egregious than wholesaling. You know what I mean?
Because we're really stepping on their toes now.
Oh my God.
Right? Because we're acting now when a real estate agent gets their boxers in a knot over the fact that they feel that we're competing with them. Mm-hmm. When we do Novations and we're actually on their platform, going after their retail buyers, which we don't really do as wholesalers because we have a whole secondary market when we're selling to our cash buyers off our buyers list.
Yep.
But when we're on their MLS, it is now stepping on the toes.
Yeah, I actually saw Novation, the word Novation in a regulation for the first time ever where it was listed, and that was Alabama. So Alabama passed a regulation, and in there it says, you know, the assignment, Novation, and then it says something like, or other similar methods. So it actually listed the word Novation, though. It's the first time I've seen that in regulation. So I think we'll start to see that more.
Boom. Chris asked, what's up, y'all? I have a question. If I have an agent write the offer to the seller, do I need to have them put in the assignment of contract clause?
Well, depends on the state. For instance, in Arizona, every contract was assignable or is assignable unless otherwise stated. And so in the golden era, we didn't have to even have and or assignee in our contract name. We could just write our buyer name and we could assign the contract based off the statute. Since then, regulation has happened in Arizona where now if you are going to assign, you need to disclose it in your disclosures. And so maybe not even in the buyer name, but at least on the seller or the buyer disclosure, you're going to say that buyer is an investor in the business of buying and selling real estate for a profit. Buyer may assign the contract, fix and flip, or buy to hold at buyer's sole discretion. That's my golden.
Yep.
That's my golden statement. So again, for those of you guys taking notes, the golden disclosure statement, and I love it because it gives a gamut. It runs the whole gamut of what could happen as an exit strategy as a real estate investor. So we write, buyer is an LLC in the state of Arizona in the business of buying and selling real estate for a profit. Buyer may elect to assign contract, fix and flip property, and or buy to hold property at buyer's sole discretion. And now what it does is it explains to our seller that I'm an investor and my goal here is to make money. I might select any of these exit strategies and you're agreeing to understand that. That's it. So for me, that is the best way to put in the assignment of contract clause and for everybody to be aware that as a business, I'm here to make money. But what business isn't? Unless it's a nonprofit. I mean, to me, it just seems and sounds pretty common sense. And I feel like when sellers read that, it also sounds common sense. Because it's almost like saying buyer is an LLC in the business of buying and selling property. Well, why else would an LLC buy my home?
A lot of them tell us. They're like, well, I know you're going to do really well on this. I just got to get rid of it.
Yeah. And they hope that, look, okay, I've been doing really well with my RollsRoyce. Here's why I'm bringing it up. I was doing really well on my rental on my RollsRoyce. But when I looked at the cash flow between the RollsRoyce and my Cybertruck, my Cybertruck is smashing it. For the amount of money that I paid for it and for how much it's bringing in, it's just stupid. What kind of cash flow I'm getting out of that truck.
It's a great car. And
so today I made the decision. I think I'm going to get rid of the Rolls because I don't drive it. It's not my jam. I don't really enjoy driving the thing. That's not me. I like my Bronco. You know what I mean? I'm that guy. And when it's not rented, it sits in my garage. And so what did I do today? I called the vehicle wholesaler and I said, hey, selling my Rolls, have at it. So what's he going to do? He's going to go and he's going to find a buyer for me and he's going to make money on it. And I know he's going to make money on it. And I'm going to say, good job making money on it because that's what business people do. Right? I'm going to get back what I needed to get back out of it. I did what I needed to do. I saved money on taxes when I needed to save money on taxes. I cash flowed that thing while I had it. And now it's time to let that thing be somebody else's baby.
See it.
And someone's going to make money in the process. Good.
Jerry, you want to take this one?
How do you find out the value of an infill lot with multiple lots in it that have been approved to be subdivided by the county already? Okay, so, when we talk about flipping land, there's a couple things. You could get a piece of land, turn around and try to resell it for more. You could do some value add, which in your case, you're going to take a plot of land and you're going to subdivide it. We call that, make them, get it paper ready. And that's a process, right? So you got to go through zoning, you got to get it all done, but that's a value add play because you're not going to touch any of that until you buy the lot and own it. Now you're going to do stuff, which could be clearing, could be subdividing, could be whatever, getting permitting, getting plans done. I've done that before. So there's levels of things you could do, just like with a house. I could buy a house and wholesale it. I could buy a house and trash it out and then sell it. I could buy a house and paint the cabinets or replace the cabinets and on and on and on. You have to ask yourself, what's the best move? What's worth the time, energy, and effort? Should I buy it, get capital, fund it, buy it, spend the time to work with zoning to get the lot splits done? Now I just increased the value because now it's 3 lots instead of 1. A developer is going to want it or a builder is going to want that. And I could sell it for more. Like, it's just now you figuring out your analysis, just like anything. What's the best move for a deal? I think everything we do is situational. Given my business right now and what I have going on, is this worth the time, energy, and effort? What's the return on the investment? What's the time frame turnaround? Do I have to invest more capital? Do I have the expertise? Like, only you, Adisa, can answer that, right? Like, you got to figure that part out and make a good decision.
I've got some back of the napkin math for this, just assuming what I think I'm reading here. Okay? Because she says infill lot has multiple lots that have been approved to be subdivided, meaning that they should have their own parcels. Would that be correct?
Yep.
They've now been subdivided and then they have their own parcel numbers. Okay, well, if they have their own...
Approved, but that would still have to go through the process. Sounds like. That's the huge difference, right, Jerry? Yeah.
Approved versus subdivided is not the same. So if it's approved, that means it's still not done, in which case the value hasn't been added to the property. Now, if it is on separate parcels, if they are on separate parcels, here's how I would do the math. Okay, let's just assume that they have been subdivided and let's just say it's 1 lot that's been divided into 3 lots. What I would do is I would say, okay, what can I build on that 1/3 of a lot? And what type of market am I in? Am I in a very like high demand area of a city, of a major metro? If I am, I'm probably at about 25% of what total...
Depends on the zoning too.
Depends on the zoning, but
if
usually
it's single family,
if it's single family, it's going to be 25% of what I can sell that final product for. If it's a high demand area, if it's not a high demand area, you're probably down at 10% of what that final product will sell for. So that's just very loose back of the napkin math. Nothing that I think you should be making bets on or going non-refundable on EMD. But this is assuming that these lots have been, or these splits have been approved and the subdivision has happened already, and that you have individual parcel numbers. You're just going to see, what can I build there? What would it sell for? And if it's in a high demand area, 25%. And if it's in a like the outskirts, 10.
Adisa, this is just my experience here. I've had a lot of conversations with people that own land. And when they tell you stuff like, I've already got it approved, it doesn't matter what it is. If they say I've got it approved for this, they probably want 10 times what it's worth.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, a lot of new people starting out, we get real excited that this might be like this big time juicy deal. But landowners that tell you that they've gone through the process and got something approved are the most nonsensical sellers of all time.
Well, yeah, because they think just because they've gone to the city and they've had, and what's approved mean? Does approved mean that they went to the planning and development counter, got a number, spoke to somebody and say, could I do this? And they said, yeah. And they're like, approved.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I would say is find a buyer in your area, ask them what they think that they would pay for those lots, a developer, a builder, anything, and work backwards from there. If not, you're just going to spin your wheels and you're going to be doing all these different comps and you're going to be looking for different things and trying to figure out what's going on. And you could be way off from what buyers would actually pay. So just find somebody that's a developer and get a buy price out of them, work backwards. What do you think?
Smart.
Right?
Yep.
Definitely.
And then because they'll be conservative.
Of course.
And then you can go in conservative and then you don't waste your time. Howard asked, Brent, would you recommend when speaking with a seller to get the purchase sales agreement signed on the call, or just send them to the email? I feel like trying to get it signed on the initial call might scare them.
No, that scares you.
Yeah, listen, Howard, it's an if-then question, and everybody watching this, you have to understand the power of if-then questions. If I can get you exactly what you want in this purchase agreement, I get you your price. I've got a good earnest deposit, so you feel comfortable moving forward, and we can close in 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever. Is there anything stopping you from moving forward? No. Okay. Then you're comfortable with me sending over this purchase agreement to your email. And as a professional courtesy, we're going to go through it line by line. So if you have any questions, you can ask it to me live. That way we can just get this going and I can open up escrow right away.
That's it. So then you're walking them through signing that right then.
100%.
Now Howard, that didn't sound pushy to me at all. That sounded professional. That actually sounded like, hold on a second. You're going to go through this thing line by line with me, and we're going to talk through what this means, and we're going to know our roles and responsibilities here.
Yep.
I think that's actually a good thing.
It's the best thing, because mystery, questions in the mind of the seller will prevent them from signing. And so any moment that prevents them, I'm coming in. Somebody on my team, Jerry's team, Jamil's team, some of these guys, that next offer is coming in. It's coming in, and they're going to explain everything better than you did, and you're going to lose that. Time kills deals. Time kills deals. So if you can get them on the phone and fill it out while you're fill it out, sign it when you're on the phone with them, that is the absolute best. If you feel like they're like, hey, listen, I need to pray on it, I need to do all these things, I need to look at this, I need my attorney to review it, then you can change it up a little bit. But try to go through it as a professional courtesy. I think if you say professional courtesy, it's just something that sits well with sellers.
Yeah.
And they feel like you know what you're doing.
Time kills. Yep. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to add to that, I try to avoid using the word sign and contract.
Approve.
And I try to say approve and agreement, because sign and contract evokes my lawyer needs to review.
Yep.
Right. Legally binding is what people think when they hear the word contract. Sign means I'm now binding.
These nuances, guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a big difference between a direct to seller conversation and an agent conversation.
Oh, yeah.
On an agent conversation, we want to talk signing.
Yeah.
We want to talk binding. We want to talk meat and
Same with our buyers.
business.
Same with our buyers. Yeah. With our buyers, we say, I want you to sign this legally binding contract. That's what we say to our buyers. With our sellers, we say,
this isn't, that, hey,
with
guys,
sellers, we say, I want you to approve this agreement.
Smart.
Totally.
That was super smart. Very smart. But just to kind of add a little bit to what Brent was saying about time killing deals, had a direct to seller deal, which we don't do a ton of, but we do a little bit of it at Keegley. Had a direct to seller deal. One of my reps had negotiated, and seller was all in. They said, we're going to do this deal with you. And they sent the contract over, and then homeboy went on a little bit of a vacation for a few days, right? Meaning it was the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guess what happened over the weekend? Monique Walker ended up calling that same homeowner.
Done.
And the homeowner said, well, what would you offer? And Monique came to my team. And again, it went through a different channel, because that rep went through a manager to get a number approved. Monique Walker came to me.
Right.
And my number was a little bit lower than what that one was. I was a little bit more tidy in the pants with it. And she sent
big deals.
Yeah, she sent over the contract. I signed it, and I actually stole the deal from myself today. And unknowingly, because my rep went on the break for the weekend. He didn't realize, and he didn't follow up with the seller, and hadn't done any of that thing. Monique came in, snapped it. Now, you might think that's really cool, but it's actually, now I have to share the deal with Mo.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
You know what I mean? So now she gets half that deal. So it cost us half the deal.
Yeah.
Right. But she had it. She was ready, and she got that seller ready. And my guy let the weekend happen.
You want to hear a crazy story?
Yeah.
So my acquisition manager, Ryan, is doing a great job, built incredible rapport with this property owner out in Apache Junction. And he's like, I'll come right over. We'll get the agreement approved. And but I gotta run. He had to like pick up his kids or do something. Maybe it's a different appointment or something. And he gets to the house a couple hours later, and she's like, "Oh, I already signed." And he's like, "What? What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, I signed with Ryan." He goes, "I'm Ryan." Another wholesaler named Ryan showed up at the house.
My goodness.
Showed up at the house. She thought it was our Ryan. She had told our Ryan how she hated the other company because they were so rude and they were so terrible. This guy showed up anyway and signed it up as Ryan, just being, yeah, I'm the Ryan, yeah, and locked up the deal.
Wow.
Isn't that, I'm telling you, it's wild.
That is so funny.
It is so
I was
funny.
telling Brent, I was telling Jamil,
I'll tell you that.
I was telling Jamil I had this agent deal where it was I like to call it a sniper, where it's a listing, we're calling directly, we're going to double dip with this agent. And I'm looking at the listing, and then I Google, obviously, or typically there's no contact info, right? So I'm Googling this agent, and I happen to find an agent with the same name and the same brokerage in my Google search. So, I thought that's it. So I call this agent. It happened to be an agent in another state, completely different person with the same name at the same brokerage. Like it was like a Remax or whatever. Yeah. And I'm talking to this agent. I'm like, hey, Jane Smith, I'm calling about XYZ property. And she's like, I don't have a listing there. I'm like, yeah, you do. I'm arguing with her. I'm like, yeah, you do. I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't. And we're going back and forth. And then I'm like, I read the full address, and she's like, I'm not even in that state. Like, oh, well, do you come across distressed properties very often?
He doesn't let it go. He's just like, oh, hold on. Since we're on the phone.
Yeah.
I think to answer this question, we should give examples.
Yeah.
My youngest Astro Flipper, who's making money doing deals and buying and owning properties, is 15. How about you, Brent?
Is it supposed to be with no real estate experience?
Yeah, but they had no experience. He got, he came in unexperienced.
I don't know, Jamil. I think I'm with, I mean, I wouldn't buy it to live in. I would buy it for investment for sure. If you're going to be doing it. I think I kind of not, and I really don't like his content. I really don't. I think that he's really just not my cup of tea, but Grant Cardone talks about, don't buy your own, the house that you live in, put your money into investment properties, which I think is really, really, really smart. So I would say, one, go for investments, but before you buy the house that all your buddies live in and like freeload off you for the next, 10 years of your life until you're 30. Right. And I would also be really, really focused for your first 12 months. If you have no experience, I would wholesale everything. I wouldn't buy an investment property until he has 300,000 after tax in an account.
Yep. Andy,
because you're going to go and you're going to buy something stupid.
Yep.
And you're going to give all the money back. Now your kids are fortunate because you've seen every deal.
Right. And Andy, and here's the caveat to that. Andy was making $50K a month before he bought an investment property.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And so, he did it really young. My thought process is, I think, Cleo over here is wondering, is at 19 years old, is he too young? And I would say absolutely not.
No.
Right? No. You've got young guys in the TTP world out there slanging houses right now.
Yep.
What's the youngest you've had go on a wholesaler?
Do a deal?
Just a wholesaler.
14.
14. How about you, Jerry?
Yeah. 14.
15, maybe 16. Yeah.
So this is so Cleo, if the question is it, now I'm 19 and am I too young, or is it a good age for me to get started? Absolutely. It's a great age for you to get started.
I would rather focus the attention on building business skills, the skills of effectively communicating with property owners, which means you have to talk to a lot of them, effectively comping properties, effectively looking at, okay, wait a second. I get to watch all these cash buyers from afar with no risk, see what their strategies are with the properties that I find, and see which path I want to follow. Right. And I think that that's really powerful because we want to own property. We want to be badass. We want to start the portfolio. When's the best time to own real estate? 20 years ago. Is it, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years. It's the same thing, right? But I don't agree with that. I think if you build business skills, you build the machine that's going to find you the best deals, then start cherry picking. Once you start replacing yourself in those roles, you're going to go a lot farther, a lot faster, in my opinion. What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell a 19-year-old, you're way too young to be owning assets. Learn how to transact, learn how to operate a business, learn sales skills, learn how to lead a team. Do that, which is transacting, wholesaling, before you start building a portfolio. You've got time. Like, people feel like they've got to do this right away, or like they're falling behind. A deal's a deal. When you learn how to buy a deal, you can always buy a deal. So I just feel like in real estate, everything's developmental, right? So you have to, in college, you have to take 101 before you take 202, and you have to take 202 before 303, right? And I think real estate's the same way. Learn the appropriate skills that you need to learn at 19 years old before you start building a portfolio. I think that's something that's a little more later on.
What would your number be, Jerry, for like money in the bank before you started owning homes and being a landlord? What would you be comfortable if your kids wanted to start buying rentals?
I like what Brent said. I mean, I have a rule with my partners that we wholesale with, that is, we're not even going to look at holding assets until we're consistently transacting at least 100,000 a month again and again in gross revenue. Don't even talk to me about, well, let's keep this one and let's keep that one. We can get there eventually, but not until we built $1 million business.
Yep. Well, yeah, and it just depends. It depends on if you want to be a full-time real estate entrepreneur, or if you just want to cherry pick, have a 9-to-5, build a career, do something that's, successful in that, and just buy rentals on the side to build your portfolio. It just depends on what you want to do. But if you want to be full-time, then you got to wholesale. You got to find great opportunities and see what the investors that are a few steps ahead of you are doing with these properties in your marketplace, so you don't have to pay the stupid tax. And we've all paid the stupid tax.
Every one of us.
We've all paid the stupid, but it's a different era right now.
Yep.
Is there a super duper stupid tax? That's the one.
Yeah, there is. It's called flipping a house on a television show.
That's it.
Oh, because it doesn't make money. Is that why?
No. I mean, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
You got to go twice as fast as you would normally go. It's
Overpay.
stop, right? It's all kinds of things. You got to over improve.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard. It's not easy to flip a house on a TV show and make it work.
And they don't pay for it.
No.
The network, right?
He is doing it. There you go. Good. Keep finding great opportunities. You got to focus on building your skills of lead generation and then converting those into opportunities. And then you can figure out your exit strategy, right? 3 parts of it. We talk about it on the opening show every time. There's 3 parts: lead generation, conversion, and then exit strategy. And really there's 4 exit strategies, but really 3. There's you buy and hold it, you buy and flip it, or you assign it. The other one would be that you list it because you're a realtor, or you send it as a referral to a realtor. But really, when we're looking at it from an investor standpoint, are we going to buy and hold, or are we going to flip it, or are we going to assign it? And if you want low risk,
assigning all day, every day.
It's the best business ever. It's the best business ever. It's insane. It's insane.
Nothing compares to a wholesale business.
Which
is why they're coming for it, because it's not fair.
Yeah. That's why they want to put restrictions on it. They want people to be licensed, or in some of these states they want people to be. They want to shut down completely.
I want to say that the audience of Wholesale Hotline is some of the best people. Mm-hmm. I've been seeing a lot of people from this community that have been doing what we've been talking about, and taking properties down. My transactional funding company has been processing more transactional loans than ever, just so that people can come in and have the control of being able to take down that property and not have to worry about assignment clauses, not have to worry about any of this garbage with regulation, to be able to come in and be the buyer, close on the deal. And so I just want to commend you guys. I want to commend people that have been listening and taking action on it. Now, some of you are going to get into that point where it's not just going to be a transactional funding. You're going to do the takedown method like Jerry and Brent do more of. I do less of that than you guys do.
Yeah.
But the takedown method is pretty phenomenal, right? That's when we actually take the property down, clean her out, put her on the MLS, and get
what's something that's interesting too, Jamil, just as a side note, we've been taking them down, putting them on the MLS after we get them cleared out. We make more from our cash buyer database than we do on the MLS. When we send it out,
that's crazy,
and not put it on the market, we make more by like 10,000, Jerry.
People are willing to pay more off market.
Off market.
Yeah.
Yep. People are willing to pay more off market. And when we put it on market, you've done a great job with this. We get 50 wholesale offers.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we get like an unbelievable amount because we do coming soon to kind of, gauge
Test
it.
it,
And
yeah.
it's like, it's like wholesale. Like, yeah, it's a,
that's probably saying something about your cash buyer list.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's typical. To me, that's really odd to think that you've got higher paying buyers on your list than on the open market. But
we see the same thing. It really depends on the area, though. It depends on a few factors for us at least. But yeah, that's we've seen it too. But it's like volume. I found out recently, I hadn't asked in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Keegley's Phoenix buyers list is 500,000.
That's crazy.
In Phoenix. Wow. In Phoenix.
That's wild.
Isn't that?
I mean, Phoenix is the flipping capital of the world, of the country, right? I mean,
I couldn't look. Because I can't. I need somebody to verify this just so that he can look at it and say, guys, there's the text message. Because I was wondering the other day, I was like, hey, how big is Keegley's buyers list right now? 494,000 currently.
Yeah. Well, I also
isn't that something?
So having the conversation, Jerry, with the guys that do the most flips, they go back to what Jamil was saying earlier in the show. When you put it on the MLS, the appraiser puts that into the next appraisal when they go to sell it. They show when it was listed, and then you have to justify how much you increase the value, and you have to go and show what it was assigned for, and all these things. You have to really put in a lot more work with the appraiser up front and during the process, so your appraisal doesn't come in low because they're worried about inflated values. Obviously, they're a third party to protect the bank.
Yeah,
and let's not get this twisted. Appraisers work for the bank.
That's the justification I give to agents to take houses off the MLS.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why in our market, Jerry, we found people will pay more if it's not on the MLS. Interesting, right? How can I get past just getting on the phone with a realtor? I just found out about wholesaling and wanting to make it my new career. Welcome to the party, E. Welcome to the party.
Can you imagine you're thinking of your YouTube channel name, E?
It's cool.
Just
simple. Just like lowercase too. You know what I mean? Just humble with it. Just a humble E.
So one thing, E, that you'll hear Jamil and I talk about a lot with on market. Yeah. One of the benefits with on market is zero marketing cost. So if you're coming into the business and you don't have a marketing budget, even if you have some marketing in the beginning, it's always good to do no cost marketing channels, right? On market is one of those because it doesn't cost you anything other than your time to create relationships with agents in your market. Learn how to do that well, and those agents will bring you distressed properties without you paying for those leads. That's perhaps one of the most attractive things. Jamil, that'd be number one. Number two would probably be the relationship.
That's that sniper method that Jerry talks about, is that an already listed property, and we're going to go out there and we're going to get that thing at a great price. But then there's the shotgun approach where we're doing agent outreach for cold outreach. And now we're looking for pocket listings that are off market. And now we got the best of both worlds because we get to do the thing that Brent Daniels talked about and sell a house and get a deal off market that's not listed on the MLS that has buyers salivating a little bit more. And we get to build a relationship with an agent, and that relationship can parlay into dozens and dozens of deals. I mean, again, Monique Walker, I love to say her name, but how can I not? I make nearly $1 million a year with this woman,
Yeah.
and it's all inbound for me. I don't have to call Monique every week. She texts me Monday to Friday, and sometimes on the weekends, right? She comes to me.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is.
I think as I read this, the first line there just jumps out at me. I think that there's some fear that he has of getting on the phone and speaking with a real estate agent. Maybe there's a lack of experience there, but I will tell you this, you are powerful. You are powerful. You got to believe that. You got to take massive imperfect action, right? You got to get a list of 10, 15 real estate agents and call them every single day. Our mindset is built off of our skills. The more skillful we are, the stronger our mindset is going to be. That's just the way that it works. You don't see like pro golfers just totally melting down all the time and they can't swing a golf club anymore. They just got it so in their head. I mean, it's just the skill is built in there because of all the reps. So we all have to go through it. We all have to go through that hustle season. We all have to get into the dirt. We all have to chop wood, carry water. And the faster that you do it and the more enthusiasm you have doing it, the quicker you're going to get to success. And then you're going to be able to inspire others. And so get on the phone. Stop thinking about yourself. Think about the people that you're going to serve. Yeah,
I think too, and maybe Jamil, you can say to this as well, but a lot of people feel like when I get into this, the real estate agent is some sort of professional and expert, and they're all knowing and all powerful and all knowledgeable. And what you'll find out real quickly is you probably know more than they do.
At some levels, yeah, often, right? Because agents aren't even taught how to comp in licensing school.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to value property. And
they don't know how to negotiate. Like most of the agents I work with, I have to coach them through the whole process. Like I have to tell them, hey, here's what you need to do with the seller. Here's what you're going to go back and do. Here's how we're going to handle this. Let me help you win with me. Right. They don't know most. Yeah. So and the only point of me saying that is, don't feel intimidated because you're talking to a real estate agent. They're a person just like you. They're trying to figure it out. Most of them make a whole lot less money than, you'll make more money than them on 2 deals than they make all year. 90% of agents. It's like, it's not as scary of a thing as you think it is.
But the thing is, Jerry, I don't think it's a rational fear ever. I think what ends up happening a lot of times, and the folks that are at least brand new, just getting started, the fear is not a rational fear. The fear is subconscious. It's a subconscious fear. You're scared because you're getting out of your comfort zone, and your brain is telling you that, hey, it's uncomfortable being in this position right now. Look, man, when you were just going to your work and working 9 to 5 and getting your paycheck, that's safe. We know where food's going to come. We know how we're going to pay the mortgage. Our wife's not mad at us. We've got all the things we need. I mean, you've got these dreams. Those are scary. Your dreams are scary.
Change always hurts.
It's very hard. And breaking through to the subconscious mind to reprogram an old code, I look at our brains like they're computers. And a lot of us are running on Windows 95 right now. Right? You got to get through and you got to rewrite new code. Actually, funny enough, on last Sunday, I did a stream on my YouTube about how to go in and actually reprogram your subconscious mind so that you can alleviate some of that pressure and some of the pain that comes and those unpleasant emotions that come. Yeah. Because that's what's happening is your body's just releasing chemistry when you're doing something uncomfortable. And that chemistry is powerful. It's very powerful drugs. So anyways, if you guys are interested in figuring out how to rewire subconscious stuff, check out my last Sunday's stream. It's pretty wild.
Jamil Damji YouTube channel. You want to finish this? This is a great last question. And then
what size of an email list should we aim for? I don't think it's the size that matters. And I know I was just here flexing like I got the biggest size list. But facts is that you can actually get by with a list of 5 people that are really solid, that are going to buy, that you have a great relationship with. It really isn't about the size, my brother. It's about the level and the depth of relationship that you have with your buyers and how you're engaging with them and what you're looking for and how you're bringing them opportunities. I don't think really going after a big size buyers list is what makes the most successful wholesalers. I think what makes the most successful wholesalers are the ones who focus on relationships. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I want to give them something to aim for so that it's not, well, I got this one buyer that buys everything and now he makes half.
What would you say, 1,000?
I would say shoot to find 100. And then you need to collaborate with other wholesalers and investors in your area and trade them your 100 for their 100. Now you have 200. Now you trade 200 for 200. Now you build it up as big as you can. As big as you can, and
I don't trade mine, by the way, so don't ask me.
Yeah, don't ask Jamil. Well, but what I'm saying is trade with people that are in the same, size or position as you. Don't try to hit up Jamil and be like, hey, let me have your buyer's database. It's not going to happen. Cool, great show, Jerry.
Fantastic,
awesome show. Awesome show.
Thank you guys. What do you got going on, Jerry? What's releasing this week on your YouTube channel?
Well, really excited about this collaboration that Jamil and I are doing. We're going to be launching, hopefully end of the week, early next week, a series. So you'll look for that on YouTube. It's going to be a agent masterclass that Jamil and I are doing. And we basically broke down the entire business model from beginning to end. And we're going to release that in a series of, I think, 5 or 6 different videos to start with. We'll keep adding to that playlist, but really excited about it. And we've got a little goodie in there too. So you guys want to watch that. Jamil and I are actually going to get together live with a small group and do some really cool stuff. So more on that to come, but we're really, really excited about it. I haven't been excited about a project in a while like this, Jamil.
Yeah, likewise, dude.
Awesome.
How about you?
What do you got?
Well, I'm doing what I normally do, straight out of Compton Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, Sunday at 4 p.m. And I do my mindset live streams on, which have become super popular. I mean, I know I'm a real estate dude and you guys know me for wholesale, but I got hundreds of people that show up on these live streams. And I just talk about, the things that we all go through as entrepreneurs and how we can rewire a lot of this stuff so that we can just get out of our heads and out of our ways and really make it work,
Awesome. Yeah, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We go live for a couple hours in the Brent Daniels YouTube channel. It is absolutely bananas. So come join me and we'll put a little bit of energy into your Wednesday, and then you can go on over to Jamil's and get to learn how to comp and go to Jerry's and learn how to go and put all these deals together and push them through the finish line. We're here to help you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Wholesale Hotline.
We out.
See ya.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.